I have a mega exhaustive list of 24 essential settings after installing WordPress that you must make to get you on the right track for blogging success. WordPress famously advertises the 5-minute install, but if you want to start your WordPress blog off on the right way, it's vital that you carry out some essential settings before you start publishing. Here's a taster of what's to come. If you don't get your URLs right from the get-go, it could have a serious adverse effect on your site ranking if you change it later, so best get it right now. If you don't set up your mailing list right at the beginning, you could miss out on some essential leads. Before we start, I will say one thing. Don't be put off by the number of things there are to do, because a lot of these are quite small. I know you want to create the best blog that you can. Following my guide here will send you on a course for blogging success. Don't forget to check out my blog post too, where I go through everything in detail. Plus there's a free checklist to download, so do check that out. Find the link underneath this video. And also don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a thing. Okay, so let's get started. Number 1, update WordPress. I've got a brand new WordPress installed here and it needs updating, so I'm going to go over to the Updates tab, or I could click on this little icon up here. Now what you should do, if there is an update available for WordPress itself, is to update that first. In this case I do have an update, so I need to click on this blue button here, Update Now. Okay, that's done. So the next thing to do is to go back to the update screen and start updating the plugins and themes. Currently we've got one plugin that needs updating, so I'll update that now. Let's go back, and then I'm going to go and update the themes. Now when I did this update I didn't take a backup first because it's a brand new site and there's really nothing to lose. But if you do have something to lose, then you'll want to take a backup first, and I'll show you how to do that later on in this video. Number 2, change the permalinks. In this step we're going to go to Settings and then we're going to go to Permalinks. Now what's happened here is WordPress has set the permalinks to the basic type, which is a number for a post. Now this way of showing the URL is not great for SEO, it's not great for usability, so we definitely need to change that. You may find that on your install it's set to day and name, and if it is, you still need to change that too, and I recommend that you change it to post name, because that's the simplest form of the URL and it's great for SEO. So I'll save changes and that's done. Number 3, set the reading settings. So let's pop across to the Readings tab, which is under the Settings tab. I'm going to check that the search engine visibility is unchecked. As you can see, it's checked, which means that search engines will pretty much, well, most of them will ignore this site completely and I won't get indexed in Google or any other search engine. So I definitely want to uncheck that. Even if your site isn't ready yet, still uncheck that because it will be some time before Google indexes your blog anyway, so it's best to be prepared. So I'll save changes on that. Number 4, set up the site name and tagline. To do that we're going to go to Settings General and we're going to update the site title and the tagline here. So the site title is usually just your domain without the .com or the .co.uk. I've set it to WordPress demo, and underneath you could give a short description of what your blog is about, preferably using some keywords that you're targeting for your site. I'm going to leave it as just another WordPress site for the moment, but that is something I've made a note of to do later. And by the way, if you would like to have a useful checklist for all these points that I'm making today, then do pop across to my website and download the free checklist and you'll never miss a thing. Number 5, change the time zone, date, time format and language. That we're going to stay in the general settings screen, and if we scroll down we can see that the time zone is set here to London, for me that is, because I'm in the UK, you'll want to change that to whatever time zone you are in. The reason for that is if you have some scheduled posts that are set to be published on a certain day, then you will want that date and time to coincide with your local time. So it's important to set that. You can also set the date format, which I've got set as date and the month and the year. So you could change that to whatever suited you, and also the time format. Number 6, change the admin username to something else. Now you really only need to do this step if your username is admin, and you can check that by going over to users, and you can see here that my username is Megan, so that's okay. But if it was admin, I would definitely want to change that, because that is the first username that any hacker will try when they are guessing your username and password. So to change the username, I can't unfortunately simply go to the username and update it, because you cannot change it. So what you need to do instead is to go to add new and then add a completely new user. So I'll type in a new username here and then an email, and that's all I need to do. I can accept the password here, so I'm just going to copy that so I know how to log in, and I'm going to set the role to administrator, and I'm going to untick send user notification and then click add new user, and now I can log out and log back in again. And now I'm logged in again. Let's go back to users, and then I will delete this old user here. And I don't have any content, but if I did, then I would attribute it all to the new user, which is Joe Blogs. Number 7, complete your user profile. So go to your user's profile, which you can get to by going to the top here and clicking on edit profile, or you can select your user from here and then edit. Now you can add your user bio, you can add your profile picture. For that you'll need to have an account at Gravatar. And then what also I like to do is to set myself a nickname, and this is the username that appears against comments, against blog posts, and it just means I'm not displaying my actual username, although if somebody really wanted to find that out they could, but it's just a nice touch, I think. So I'm just going to put in Joe and then display my name publicly as Joe, and then I'll update the profile. Number 8, delete sample content. Now when you first install WordPress, there'll be some sample posts there and some sample pages which you can go ahead and delete. So if we pop across to posts, we'll see that there's a post there called Hello World. So I'm going to bin that, and then just to be sure I'm going to go over to bin and empty bin, and then I'm going to do the same for pages. I'm going to leave the privacy policy there because I'll want to edit that later, and I'm going to click here and I can do bulk actions then and move to bin, or I could just do bin, and then again I'm going to empty the bin. Number 9, delete the Hello Dolly plugin. On any new WordPress install there's usually a plugin called Hello Dolly. Now you may not have this if you're using a host that puts in their own plugins when you first install WordPress. So if yours isn't there, don't worry. But in my case it is there, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, and it's gone. Number 10, choose a good theme. When you first install WordPress, a default theme is activated, and at the moment that default theme is 2021. You will very much likely want to pick a different theme. I do have some blog posts on my blog about choosing your theme, but I will say now that my favourite theme is actually GeneratePress. It's a super lightweight and highly customizable theme, and I thoroughly recommend it. So I'm going to pop across to Appearance Themes, then I'm going to click on Add New, and then I'm going to type in Generate Press. What's great about this theme is it has a free version. You can upgrade to the premium version, which gives you more customization. So I'm going to install that one and activate it. Now what I'm going to do next is to delete these themes here. I don't know why my screen is moving like that. So let's click on a theme and then pop down to the delete button down here. And I'll do the same for all the other themes. So now we only have one theme installed. I could have kept one of those themes installed just as a backup theme, which is recommended, but to be honest, I've never had a problem with themes, especially Generate Press. It never fails me, so I think it's pretty safe in this case just to have one theme installed, and it keeps everything nice and clean and you've got less to update. Number 11, set up your categories. So let's pop over to Posts and Categories, and this is where we can set all the categories that we're going to be blogging about. If you don't yet know what your blog is going to be about, then you won't know what your categories are going to be, but if you do, this is where you create them. So I'm going to create a sample one here called Cooking, and then I'll create another one called Health. Now you'll see here that I've got a category here called Uncategorized, and it's a good idea just to get rid of that, and you can do that by popping across to Settings and then Writing, and here we can set our new default post category, which I'm going to set as Cooking. Now if I go over to Posts and then Categories, I can now delete that category. Number 12, add a favicon. Now favicons are little icons that appear in the top left of your browser tab, and we're going to add one now by going to Appearance and then Customize, and then we'll click on Site Identity, and then down here we're going to click on Set Site Icon, and then I'll drag in my new icon, click on Select, and that's it, that's done. Now site icons need to be a square, and it's recommended they're 512 pixels by 512. If you don't have a site icon yet, then don't worry about that, that's something you can do later, but just remember that it's one of the things you've got to do. A good time to do it would be when you've got your logo ready, and you can make a square version of your logo, as I've done here. So let's click on Publish, and we're all done. Number 13, set up commenting. Now when you first start up your blog, you'll probably want to have comments because it's a nice way to get some engagement for your blog posts, and it always looks good if search engines and prospective advertisers can see that you're getting engagement on your blog. So we can do that by going to Settings, Discussion, and then we can make sure that we have some boxes ticked here. We don't necessarily need pingbacks and trackbacks, you can safely turn that off. But we do need to make sure that this box here is ticked, allow people to submit comments on new posts. Now further down we can make some other settings. We do want the comment author to fill out their name and email. We don't need people to be registered and logged in to comment. We're not going to close comments at the moment after a certain period. I've ticked this box, Show Comments Cookies Opt-in checkbox, which will allow us to set cookies on our reader's browser. Yes, we're going to enable threaded comments, and they're going to be 5 levels deep. We're not going to break comments into pages. At the beginning, I want to be emailed whenever anybody posts a comment, and all comments will be held for moderation. But I'm going to tick this box here, comment must be manually approved, even if they have got a previously approved comment. So that's done. I'm going to leave this as a default avatar display, show avatars. This is suitable for all audiences, and my default avatar is mystery person. If somebody has a gravatar saved against their email address, then it will show that instead. Save changes. Number 14 is to create a menu. Now if you've got some pages created on your website, then you can make a menu which will usually be displayed in the header. And you can do that by going to Appearance, Menus. Now on this WordPress install, I don't have any pages set up. In fact, I've only got one at the moment. I think that's the privacy policy. But what you would do is, to create your first menu, you'd give it a name. So I'm going to call this Main, and then click on Create Menu. And then what I can do is select things that I want to go on the menu. I do have some categories created here, so I could just add those and click on Add to Menu. And now they're there, I can change the order by just moving up and down and then clicking on Save Menu. So it's pretty simple to add a menu. What I also we need to do is to set where the menu will be displayed. Now the Generate Press theme has a primary menu, which is the one that's displayed in the header. So if I click that and click on Save Menu, it will be assigned to the primary menu. And then I can, if I visit my site, I can see that I've got 2 new menu items up here. Number 15 is to avoid spam by installing a plugin. So I'm going to pop across to my dashboard and then go to Plugins. And I'm actually going to delete this Akismet anti-spam plugin because I'm going to use a different one in this case. Let's go to Add New, and then I'm going to search for Clean Talk. And then what comes up is a plugin called Spam Protection Anti-Spam Firewall by CleanTalk. So let's install that now. Now what I need to do to get protected is to get an access key. So I would click this button here and click on Save Changes. Now it's given me an error here because I don't actually have a domain that sits on the internet. This is a local host domain, so this actually hasn't worked. But it should be fine for you. You just have to click on Get Access Key automatically, and then it will enter a key for you, and you will have free usage of this plugin for the next 7 days. After that point, then you will need to upgrade to a paid account. It's very reasonable indeed. I only paid $8, I think, when I signed up to this, so I don't know if the price has gone up since then, but I suspect it's fairly similar to that. And that is for a whole year's protection, so it's very reasonable indeed. Now what this plugin does is it protects your registration forms, your comment forms, contact forms, and also it protects your opt-in forms for your email list. And it does this all without having to make any changes to your forms and without having to use a bulky reCAPTCHA which can slow down your blog considerably and really annoy your users. So I thoroughly recommend it over the Akismet plugin because it's very good at picking up comment spam as well. Number 16, add Google Analytics. If you've created a Google Analytics account, then you will already have a script that you will need to add to your website. There are several plugins that you can install that allow you to put that script on your website, but I'm going to show you just one today, and that is called the Header Footer plugin. Now if we go to Plugins, Add New, and then type in Header Footer, and you'll see several plugins come up, but this one here, Header Footer Code Manager, is quite a good one. So let's install that one. And then activate. And then what we can do is go to Settings, and then click Add New Snippet, and we're going to call the snippet Google Analytics. And it's going to be site-wide. We don't want to exclude any pages or posts. It's going to go in the header as opposed to the footer of our website. And here I will paste in the code. Okay, so then just click Save. Number 17, install a security plugin. Now there are several security plugins available for WordPress. One is the Wordfence plugin. Now the Wordfence plugin is free and it comes with a premium upgrade, but you should find the free version is absolutely fine for you. There is also another plugin I recommend too, and it's by the same developers that made the Clean Talk plugin for anti-spam. If we type in Clean Talk here, then this is the second plugin that comes up by that same developer. And it's very good at stopping malware from arriving onto your blog and also scanning it, and it also has a firewall as well. Now this plugin isn't free, but like the other plugin, it is very reasonable, and I think it was only $24 for me to have this plugin, plus the spam protection plugin too. I'm going to install that now, and it's exactly the same method of setting it up as for the other plugin, where you enter your key, and if you want to set up a trial of it, you can just click on Get Access Key automatically. So I do recommend that plugin, but of course the Wordfence one is just fine as well. You can install that by just going to Plugins, Add New, and then type in Wordfence. Click on Install Now and activate, and then your blog will be protected from things like malware, which may arrive if you install a plugin that's been created by a developer who has written some bad code basically, or somebody trying to log in to your website with a username and password, or just trying to guess it. So that's security. So whichever one you go for, it doesn't really matter as long as you have one there. Number 18, add the Yoast SEO plugin. Now the Yoast SEO plugin just helps you optimize your blog a bit more for SEO. WordPress itself is also pretty well optimized, but it does help you by making it pretty easy to put in your thumbnail for Facebook sharing, the Google snippet that will be displayed in search results, and that type of thing. And it just sends you reminders about putting in a keyword and helping you optimize your blog post for your keyword. So again, we can install that just by going to Plugins, Add New, and then type in Yoast, and then just click Install Now and then activate, and then it's all set up on your blog and there isn't much else that you need to do. Number 19 is to add a social sharing plugin. Now the one I recommend is Grow by Mediavine. Now this plugin I found to be the most lightweight, and it gives you all the features you need of a social sharing plugin, including the share counts. You can also put your social icons before or after a blog post, and you can float them on the side. So all you need to do is to go to Plugins, Add New, and let's type in Grow. And there you go, Grow Social, that's one we want to install. So we can set it up. There should be a tab called Grow, that's it, Toolkit. And then we can just switch on the bits we need. We can have a floating sidebar and inline content. And if you click on the settings, you can then make some changes, which will be choosing which social networks you want displayed there. So if I click on Select Network, I could have Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. So that's all you need to do. You can make some changes below to change how they look. We could have rounded, and we can change how many columns there are, where the buttons are put. We can have them above the post content, below, or we can have in both spots. You can also switch on the share count and the social share count. And if we wanted to set a minimum share count before we show it, then we would do it here. So I could say I don't want to show the share counts until I've got at least 10 shares there. So that's it, save changes, and that's done. So it's very easy. The next thing you want to do is to create an About Me page. So if you go to Pages, Add New, and then we could start creating our page now. So publish that, and then we can start writing some text there, add some pictures. Really, you want your About page to be how you can help your reader rather than all about you. It's a good idea to put a picture of you on there just so people can see that you're a relatable person. And also, this is a good place to put your opt-in form so people can easily get onto your email list. Number 21 is to add a cookie notification. Now this is the little banner that you need to display to allow people to consent or not to consent to receiving cookies from your website. Now if you've got Google Analytics installed, that will involve saving cookies onto your user's browser. So you would definitely need a cookie notification plugin so that you can comply with the GDPR. Now the plugin that I recommend for that is this plugin here. It's called Cookie Notice and Compliance for GDPR and CCPA, and it is a free plugin, and it does now have a premium upgrade which gives you more functionality to help you be more compliant for GDPR and CCPA. So we can install that now by going to, if I just grab that so I can search for that. And again, we'll go to Plugins, Add New, and we'll just plug in that text I searched for. And there you go. It's not that one, it's this one here. Activate that. And now we've got a new tab here called Cookies. They are suggesting you upgrade to the premium, but that's up to you whether you do that. But what it does give you is a message here, and you can set the button text, and you can also do some script blocking as well. So if you were going to block Google Analytics until they had okayed to cookies, then you would put the Google script here rather than in the header footer plugin. And then further down you've got a few other settings like the amount of time that the cookie lasts for, where you put the script, and then you can say whether you want the banner to be at the bottom or the top. I usually have it in the bottom. Then you can have some animation as well, and here you can select the colours so you can keep it looking like the colours that you have set on your website. So we'll save changes there. Number 22 is to add a privacy page. Now WordPress helps you a lot by giving you a template for one, so you've got a good starting point. So if we go to Settings and we go to Privacy, now here is where we set the privacy page. So we've already got one created, so I'm going to say yes, we'll use this privacy page. If we didn't have one already created, then we can just click on create and it would create one for us. So we can see the page that's been created here. If we go to all pages, and then here it is, privacy policy. It's currently in draft mode, so we can go in and edit it and add any details here that are relevant to us. So if you had a contact form, then you would fill in this section here, and then you need to add things like what data you collect and how long you keep it for, and what can people do to have their data removed. Now if you installed Google Analytics, then you will need to fill in this section here, Analytics, just to say that you are going to save a cookie onto their browser. Okay, so you need to fill that one in. I'll leave that with you, but just so you know that it is something that needs to be done. And then when you've done that, you need to put a link onto your menu, which you can do by going to Appearance, Menus, and then just adding that page onto your menu. Actually, what I didn't do, let's go back there. I didn't publish that, so let's just do this and go published. So we can go back to Appearance, Menus, and then just add that onto the menu. If we had a menu for the footer, we could add it on there instead, and GeneratePress does allow you to add menus to a footer. But I won't take you through that now. Let's just save that, and we should find that our privacy policy is on the main menu. Number 23 is to add a mailing list and an opt-in. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this because that would require another video. I do have a video on Thrive Leads which takes you through how to connect Thrive Leads to a mailing list and then add opt-in forms onto your blog. There are a few mailing list apps that I recommend, so I'll just take you through that now. Let's go to the first one. Okay, the first one is ConvertKit. Now this one has a free tier for up to 500 subscribers, and it gives you not quite what you would get for the paid version, but at least gives you a taster for what you can do with ConvertKit. The other one I recommend is MailChimp. Now MailChimp is quite generous because it lets you have up to 2,000 subscribers on their free account, which will probably keep you going for quite some time, and then you could decide whether to move on to another plan. Now MailChimp can be a bit tricky to use, but it is worth it because it is very powerful. But if you want something simple to use, then I recommend also MailerLite. Now MailerLite has a free tier for up to 1,000 subscribers, which is still pretty generous, and it gives you use of the complete MailerLite system. They don't keep back any functionality at all. You can use everything. The only thing is that MailerLite will put their logo at the bottom of your emails. I have a video on MailerLite. If you'd like to look in my channel and search for MailerLite, you will find a video on how to open up a MailerLite account and how to add the opt-in forms onto your website. So I won't take you through that now, but just check that video and that should tell you everything you need to know. Number 24 is to install a backup plugin. Now, I've put this at the end, but really it is the most important thing you can do on your blog. You must have your own backup that is separate to the one that your host creates for you. Now, this will cover you if anything happens to your hosting account. For example, if it were to get suspended for any reason, you've got your backups on hand so you can then go to another host and quickly set up your WordPress blog again. Now the plugin that I recommend for this is a plugin called Updraft. And here it is here, we could install this now. It's a free plugin. And then once it's set up, it'll take you through a little wizard. I'll just stop that now. But what you will need to do is, the first thing you do is click on the Backup Now button, and that will create a backup that's saved on your hosting account, which is fine. But what you would really want to do is to go up to settings and to set up an external storage, which will be something like Dropbox or Google Drive is another one, or Microsoft OneDrive. And if you click on any of these, then it should ask you to connect to those accounts, and then you can set up a schedule. So you could set up to do, say, a daily or a weekly backup, of the files and the database. And then here I can just select how many old backups are retained. So I would set that up a bit to maybe 5. And then once you do that, you can just click on save where it is there, and you can forget about it basically. It will just do the backups whenever you set, and when it comes to the time that you need to restore, you would just go to backup restore, and it should show you all the backups down here, and you can just select one to restore. So that was the 24 things I recommend you do right at the beginning of setting up your blog. Now there's quite a few things there, and some of them you may just want to put on the back burner for now. But to save you having to remember, I have created a checklist, and if you pop across to my blog post, which I will link to at the bottom of this video, you will find a free checklist that you can download. So that way you can keep track of everything that needs to be done on your blog. So I hope that was helpful. If you love this video, then please do subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will never miss a video from me again. I'll see you in the next video.